What's up everybody, Subaru X fan here for another weekly update video. So back in the Mustang here this week. I apologize for skipping last week with the Mustang portion, just so much news to cover. But this week I do have a couple things to mention here in regards to the Mustang. The first is, as far as what's new with it, it's closing in on 3,000 miles here, and I actually just waxed it because actually whenever I had the accident happen and all the paint work that was done, the body shop told me that I wasn't allowed to wax the car with any kind of paste wax for 2 months. And I enjoy using the paste wax still. I know a lot of people just use spray wax or don't wax or whatever. I still like using the paste stuff. Maybe I'm just old school, I don't know. I use Meguiar's, I don't know why. Just a lot of people on Instagram were asking, so I'll just tell you guys right now, it was Meguiar's that I used, and I just really like, waxing a car. You get to really feel you get to look at every little angle of the car and really get to know it really well. And it's almost kind of like a little bonding experience with the car whenever you wash it up and wax it and hand wax it. It's all pretty cool. So yeah, but I just waxed the car, and so it's looking really great, and now it's all ready to go with the paint protected and stuff for winter time and whatnot. So that's really the only thing new with this. Another thing though, so many people, even though almost every week I mention how I'm not going to do any kind of modifications outside of an exhaust for this, and that will probably even be up in the air, I still get questions about it all the time. So a new thing though this past week, I'm on top of all the 2018 Mustang news. Like, I go on the Mustang forums every day and I'm reading all the speculation about the new ones, and always reading and trying to figure things out based off of what some people that are in the know have dropped as hints and things like that. And I would say I'm like 75% sure that there'll be a special edition 2018 Mustang next year that I'd be interested in. Because there's all kinds of different special editions up in the air, but it was just I guess teased or hinted at by one of the people on the forums that's in the know that we will be seeing the 2018 Mustang, the standard version, and the GT and stuff, probably at the LA Motor Show here in a month and a half or whatever, 2 months, and so that'll be exciting. But they're saying that there could be some kind of special edition that they've used at the New York Auto Show. Now Ford could surprise us with a GT500 or something like that, but chances are the special edition is probably either going to be a Bullet or a Mach 1. And given the timeline, if how Ford loves hitting the 50th anniversaries here with the Mustang and whatnot, we know that Bullet is going to be the 50th anniversary of that in 2018. Mach 1, the 50th anniversary will be in 2019, and then the 20th anniversary of the Cobra R will be in 2020 or 2019, one or the other. So there's a few different special editions to choose from. They could do technically one every year, and so again, I'm not totally sure about whether there will be a Bullet, but if there is, I would definitely want it, and so I'm definitely holding out for that. So I don't want to do a ton of modifications to this car, and then the New York Auto Show is in the middle of March, so I don't want to do a bunch of mods right before the winter time, and then as soon as spring starts coming around, find out there's some sweet special edition Mustang that I desperately need, and then I have to tear all the modifications off, sell everything for half of what it's worth on the secondhand market and stuff like that. Just not appealing to me. So I apologize, you guys are gonna have to have patience with me over the winter, because there won't be anything new with this car at all aside from just videos of it driving in the snow, because I will be driving this in the snow whenever I don't have press cars to drive around instead. And so that'll be interesting to see how the GT does in the snow, but otherwise there will not be any mods on this car, at least until I see what the special edition car is at New York there in March. So that's it as far as my plans for the Mustang. I still just love it. I love driving it. I'm happy with the stock power output. I'm fairly happy with the stock sound. It could be a little bit louder, but I'm still really happy with it, and it's a ton of fun. So yeah, but that's it as far as all the updates on the Mustang here, guys. So I'll send it back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is some exciting news, it's possible, about the Shelby GT350. So there's a rumor that for next year it could be getting the dual clutch transmission, possibly the same one as the Ford GT supercar, put into the Shelby next year, because they're probably losing out on a lot of Shelby sales from people that just want an automatic version. And as lame as that kind of sounds, it would be very popular, and there's a lot of people that it would also be faster technically if you have a dual clutch in there over someone manually shifting and should improve, you know, the 0 to 60 times and things like that of the Shelby GT350. So there's a rumor that it's going to be getting that. There's also rumors that that same dual clutch could end up in some kind of GT500 if we ever see that. And if you're interested in more 2018 Mustang rumors, I did a separate video last week detailing all the rumors about the next Mustang here, the refresh version of the S550 platform, and, you know, the current spy photos that are out there of it. And so you can definitely go watch that video for more info on that. But yeah, just a rumor that the Shelby could be getting the dual clutch. We don't have any more information, but you know, we should be hearing about that stuff relatively soon, maybe in the next couple auto shows here in the next few months. So yeah, another Ford thing that was actually officially confirmed this week, kind of on accident, was that the Ford Bronco and the Ford Ranger are coming back, and they're going to both be produced in the United States, in Michigan to be more specific, because Donald Trump in one of the recent debates here was talking about how it's such a shame that Ford is sending jobs from Michigan to Mexico, and, you know, because the Focus and the C-Max will soon be produced only in Mexico and not in Michigan anymore. But the reason why Ford's doing that, they responded and said the reason why they're doing that is because one of the United Auto Worker Union bosses said the reason why they're sending the Focus down to Mexico is because they want to build the Bronco and the Ranger in Michigan. They're going to sell way more Broncos and Rangers than they will Focuses. So it's better, you know, as far as jobs go, and will probably employ more people with the changes they're making. And so that's very exciting, though. You know, they basically confirmed the Bronco and the Ranger are returning. We thought that those both were coming. We already have some fan renderings of what they look like from Bronco 6G, and it's going to be awesome regardless. And so we'll just keep our fingers crossed that it'll come sooner rather than later, because right now the current rumors are that it could be like a 2018 model, 2019 model, something like that. We'll have to wait and see just how soon it actually comes, but very exciting to hear that. And there's some more news this week about the new Mazda Miata RF, which is the removable, you know, hardtop version of the Miata that just was unveiled at the New York Auto Show earlier this year. So last week I mentioned how the launch edition, they're only making 1,000 of those, and they were going to be like, I think, $36,000 roughly. Thankfully, the standard non-launch edition version is going to be a little bit cheaper here. So it's going to be around $3,000 more than a standard, you know, convertible Miata for that folding roof mechanism, which is, you know, pretty cool for the hardtop there. So if you want an RF club with a manual transmission, it'll be $32,390, and that includes the destination and everything. And then you can get an automatic, of course, in them. And they also will have the Grand Touring trim for the RF as well, which is a little more expensive at $33,455 with the manual there. And so yeah, and then the launch edition price is $34,685. So you know, a little bit of a price difference there, but nothing too huge. And so yeah, hopefully those will arrive here soon. And so awesome to see that. Some other news about Japanese automaker is Subaru. This isn't confirmed yet, but there's a strong report saying that Subaru is going to be killing the SV Crosstrek Hybrid. The reason being is that the sales of the hybrid version were very slow, and so Subaru is supposedly going to be killing that. I'll, you know, update you guys once that actually becomes official, if it becomes official. But if this is indeed true, the big news for this is what it's going to have. It will hopefully have an effect on the BRZ in '86, because the XV Crosstrek is built in the same production facility in Japan as the BRZ in the '86. And one of the common excuses they give for why they can't do a faster or a different version of the BRZ in the '86, whether it's a convertible version or an STI version, something like that, is because they said they don't have any production capacity. And the XV Crosstrek is selling so well that they don't want to take anything away from the XV Crosstrek, and that is their focus. And so the BRZ has just kind of gotten the short end of the stick there. But if you're not making a hybrid version and you don't have any new variants of the Crosstrek coming, you now have an additional variant production capacity that could be moved over to the BRZ in the '86. We'll keep our fingers crossed and hope and pray that that happens and they finally make a faster version of the BRZ here, you know, for us, finally, for us enthusiasts. But yeah, just a possibility, you know, a long shot, but who knows, maybe it'll actually happen now that they have some room there at the facility. Some other stuff this past week is the new Corvette ZR1 was spied yet again. Just about every week we have new spy shots here, and these newer spy shots here were by a person who was actually just out and saw it, named Corvette Blogger, and he actually actually got some pictures of a convertible version also testing a smaller spoiler. So the larger spoiler could either be only for the coupe version, or there could be two different spoilers offered depending on how flamboyant you want your race car to be. And so yeah, not sure what's going on with the two different spoilers, but they look very aggressive, and it's great to have some very clear shots of them now. Another car that was spied running around is the new refreshed Lamborghini Aventador. So the Aventador, it's going to be the same chassis and the same basic body, but they're going to update it and give it a midlife refresh here, kind of like how they did for the Murcielago and came out the LP640 restyle. And so that's kind of what we're looking at here. As you can see, it's going to borrow heavily from the SV, just a little less dramatic than the SV. Same kind of front bumper structure there, just smaller inlets than the SV version, but similar kind of in style. And in the back end there looks a little more aggressive, similar to the Huracan Superleggera that we've been seeing running around the Nürburgring as well for testing. And so yeah, we don't know how much more power that the Aventador is going to get, but if it repeats history, then we'll be looking at probably a 740 version, so 638 or 738 horsepower or something around those lines here. We'll have to wait and see, but cool to see it out running around, even spitting flames, which is pretty awesome. Another thing that's pretty awesome is Dodge was spied this past week testing a new version of the Challenger that has very wide tires that stick out beyond the body, which is suggesting there will be a wide body version that we've been hearing about called the Challenger ADR, and that stands for American Drag Racer. And basically what it's going to be is a Hellcat that has wider rubber, because the Hellcat currently only comes with 275 wide tires in the back. Now you could do an aftermarket setup, but for drag racing in particular, putting all that 700 horsepower to the ground, they want to do a wide body version with really fat tires. Possibly it's very similar tires to the Dodge Viper ACR, just a little bit skinnier possibly, but something along those lines. And the wide body would be awesome, and it would serve two purposes. Not only would it allow for wide body Hellcat that would be rear wheel drive, but the wide body would also allow for an all wheel drive system that unfortunately they're saying might not come to the V8 version, simply because they can't figure out a way to package the powertrain, at least not for the Hellcat, maybe the standard V8, because they have done the Charger with the V8 and all wheel drive. But what they're saying is there will be an all-wheel drive model known as the GT all-wheel drive that's going to come. They're both going to come sometime later in 2017, and the all-wheel drive one could be only V6 possibly, or could also have the V8, but not a Hellcat all-wheel drive, unfortunately, as of right now at least. But awesome to see those nonetheless. Chevy this past week unveiled something that they were working on here with the Army, and it's called the Colorado ZH2, which is a concept, but it's a working concept that's actually, it's going to be tested at GM for a couple of months, and it's going to go out into the field for actual duty. And so it's going to have, obviously the totally new sheet metal there, which could give us some hints as to the new version of the Colorado. Maybe we'll get some of these awesome looks as well. But also, this one has a cutting-edge hydrogen fuel cell in it. So it's an electric Colorado, so it's going to have tons of torque with those electric motors, and it has a few other cool tricks up its sleeve. So it's developed by General Motors and co-developed with the U.S. Army Tank Automotive Research Development and Engineering Center. And so it's going to just be studying the feasibility of advanced powertrain technology in combat Army vehicles. And so the fuel cell and the electric motor are the main focus here for this thing. But the other thing is it also has a portable power generator thanks to that hydrogen power plant. And so what it's also going to do is they engineered it so that, similar to Ford, how Ford this past a couple weeks ago actually came up with a way to capture water from the air conditioning compressor and the condenser, and that leaks, the condensation is water that then gets absorbed and turned into drinking water that's purified and whatnot. And Ford just came out with that a couple of weeks ago, and apparently Chevy's been working on that too here for the Army. So what this is going to do, because the emissions, of course, for a hydrogen vehicle are water, and so what they're going to do is capture that water, and they're going to have an onboard water generator that will provide soldiers with drinking water while they're driving around and stuff, which is an awesome thing as well. And speaking of awesome, the thing just looks awesome. It's over 6 feet 5 inches tall, and it's over 7 feet wide, so it's a lot more intimidating than a standard Colorado. And yeah, it just looks awesome here, and this paint, the camo fade kind of thing going on, and just looks awesome all around. So very cool to see that. A new BMW model was possibly leaked out this week thanks to a Japanese patent office which received these drawings and images here for a new BMW model that looks like it's going to be a new I model. It's currently rumored to be called either the i4 or the i5 and be a larger sedan or some kind of crossover type thing, bigger than the i3 of course and not the i8, but it does look like an i8 though in a lot of ways, just 4 doors and kind of pulled upwards a little bit so it's less low slung looking. Looks really cool though, honestly, and the only thing we really can tell from these drawings is that it'll probably be an I model because of the distinctive styling, and also that looks like the rear doors could be suicide thanks to how the door handles kind of meet in the middle of the door, similar to like Rolls-Royce in style, and very cool little feature it could possibly have. And we don't know anything else more about it. Like we said, it could be called the i4, i5. We don't know when it's coming or anything like that, but cool to see those drawings nonetheless. Another interesting thing this past week is that Buick debuted officially what's going to be called the Avenir line. So if you remember at the 2015, I believe at Detroit Auto Show, they debuted the Buick Avenir concept, which is a beautiful, gorgeous rear-wheel drive, long, elegant sedan that unfortunately was killed and they decided not to build it. But what they did decide to do is use the Avenir name for an up-level, I guess, marketing kind of thing. So it'd be what they're calling it the Denali of Buick. So how GMC has the Denali version, the loaded up version, and you see how Lincoln has the black label as well. This is going to be that same type of deal. So it's going to have nicer interiors and premium looks on the outside and stuff. And so Avenir will be a trim level for 2018 Buicks. I'm not sure which Buicks will get it just yet. But it'll of course just be a little bit more expensive, be the top of the line Buick, and so a very interesting idea there, and we'll just have to wait and see how it actually materializes. And the last two stories this week are two little things wrapped up here from the Paris Motor Show that I missed last week. The first is Hyundai unveiled their RN30 concept, which is a race car, but it's only a race car in its appearance, because what we're looking at here, now we know that they're going to be Hyundai's going to be introducing an N brand car next year under the Genesis label here in the States, and so it's still not sure if it's just going to be unveiled next year or actually on sale next year, because it doesn't seem like it's far enough along yet to actually be on sale next year. But anyway, what we're looking at here is it's a modified version of the i30 hatchback, which will be coming over to the States here as the Elantra GT next year, and so this is the performance version of that. Now this race car version has 375 horsepower and 333 pound-feet of torque sent to all 4 wheels, thanks to an all-wheel drive system and a dual clutch transmission. It's gonna have a bigger turbo, forged internals over the standard i30 of course, and is completely set up for race duty here, but this is just a concept. I wouldn't bank on any kind of Focus RS killer or anything like that, but cool to see that in what we could be seeing. If you peel away all the racing livery and all the really dynamic crazy stuff, you could be looking at something that is actually feasible as a new N model. And so we'll just have to wait and see what actually happens with an i30N next year, and possibly some Elantra N or something like that. But yeah, pretty cool looking. And the last story this week is Audi debuted the new Audi Q5 for, I believe, the 2017 model. And so what you're looking at here, it looks very similar to the Q7, especially in the front. The back end actually kind of looks similar to the old Q5, I think. Looks still pretty good, and these things are very, very popular, so they didn't want to mess with success too much, I don't think. And so basically they just updated the looks there, gave it new tech. It's completely new second generation though, so it isn't just a carryover or anything like that. They actually managed to expand the body in every direction, and they were able to get rid of nearly 200 pounds thanks to a mix of maximum tensile strength steel and aluminum. And so similar to how the Q7 went on a big weight loss, this isn't quite as big of a weight loss, but still less weight is always better, so great to see that. It also is now going to get the virtual cockpit like a lot of the other Audis have these days, and it also has a cool thing called personal route assist, or route assist. And so basically I'm not sure if it's going to have Apple CarPlay and things like that, but for the Audi navigation system, it's going to have a new system that can study owner's behavior and suggest the best route to a given spot, and just learn where you're going and where you usually go, and how to get home and things like that. And even though the navigation system isn't active, it'll still suggest, hey, you might want to go this way to go a little bit quicker. There's traffic on your way home, things like that. And so even though that way you don't have to constantly be running maps or navigation or something, and it'll just be like, hey, you're probably going home, right? Well, you should probably go this way instead today. Very cool, very smart tech that should help enrich people's lives if it actually works as well as it says it should. And Yeah, so otherwise though, as far as engines go, we're probably going to get one engine here in the States, which would be the 252 horsepower, 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine. They also have like 4 diesel options in Europe, but of course we're terrified of diesels all of a sudden now in the States. So we will not be getting any of the diesel options, unfortunately. So we're probably stuck with just that one engine and probably the 8-speed automatic, and that's it. So, but yeah, cool to see that. But anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. I'll send it back to me in the car. Alrighty, so I'll leave you guys with a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. Oh, this thing, it's so quick still too. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care.